SISPX asks, is there a prop that would take so long to build you just can't even bring yourself to start? I'm in the middle of one right now that's going to take months of labor, and it's really hard because it's just going to be a long time before I have the thing. The one that's going to take long enough to build that I haven't started and probably won't for a while is building another Hellboy Samaritan, but out of steel that can fire. The biggest issue with that is it would take me the better part of a month to execute something like that. And we can't monetize that video, so I'd be working for free. It's not to say that, you know, at a certain point in the future of the channel, that might not be a reasonable value for us to put up a non-monetized video that sucks me out of production for a month, but that's not today. And yet, like those long builds are so delightful, so amazing. Yeah, look, I've also always wanted to build a house, but that's not happening anytime soon. And speaking of long-term here, Righteous Robot says, have you ever had to choose between long-term durability of a prop and the timely completion of said prop? Oh yeah. I work so much faster when I'm not worrying about how much it'll someday be stored or saved. 100%. And this actually, yeah, no, making a prop durable, making it last, making it live through my shop, because I'm not gentle on my stuff. Like when people come in and they're like, can I touch stuff? I'm like, touch everything. And then they'll grab something and stuff will fall and they'll feel really, really bad. And I'll be, please don't worry about it. I knocked that over last week. To make stuff that is durable enough to survive in my shop takes a lot more time. I remember at one point, Jamie and I were doing a blueprint and we needed a slab of meat as a demonstration of the rhetorical point we were making. And we were like, should we send someone out to buy meat? And we're like, that's not funny. Real raw meat on the set, that's gonna just be weird. And I was like, give me a minute. And I ran downstairs in Jamie's shop. I went over to the white bead foam, expanded polystyrene foam, and I took a piece of styrene, cut it 1.5 inches thick on the bandsaw. Then I drew a steak shape on it, and I cut that out on the bandsaw. Then I taped up the last inch of it, the outer perimeter of it. So if this was a piece of meat with a hole in it, I painted over I'd put masking tape over the outer perimeter of it, and then I grabbed some red spray paint and went psh, 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 psh. And then I peeled off the tape and I ran back upstairs. Not more than, I'm not kidding, maybe 3-4 minutes later, and had this slab of meat for the blueprint. And Jamie just went, show off. And that's executing a prop with no concern forever that it needs to last more than the next 5 minutes. There's a funny story from District 9 that Greg Broadmoor told me. The weapons of District 9 are all hanging above me. They're so beautiful, and they're all designed by our wonderful friend Greg Broadmoor from Weta. And the gun that Wickus uses for much of the film, this whoosh gun that vaporizes the aliens, was a hybrid of a couple of other pieces, such that there was never a hero version of the prop, and that prop no longer exists because it was cobbled together from stuff on set while they were filming and never again. That happens on films all the time. But you had a specific question, which was when having to choose between. Yeah, so if I'm building it for production, I'm gonna build it faster. If I'm building it for, like the birdcage that has that even aired yet? I built a birdcage for some friends of ours recently. And I executed it as a one-day build for real in one day, because I didn't need this thing to be super durable, even though it is reasonably durable. There's some hot glue in there. And frankly, for something that I'm making that's gonna be permanent, I would probably elide solutions like hot glue. And for stuff that I make for myself, it's not like I spend all the time to make it perfect. It's more like I will get it to a certain like 90% doneness and durability, and slowly over the next few months probably add the last little bits and touches to it to bring it to fruition. There's definitely a bit of like the final reveal of some stuff on Tested is like the 95% mark, but that last 5% isn't something that anyone but me would notice or recognize. But I promise the next time it happens, I will highlight it and talk about it on camera. Let's see here. We also had SS Draws says, do you ever have trouble getting certain fabrics or designs for cosplays? I saw the Wolverine costume video and thought how difficult it must be to get the yellow screen printed fabric as a regular person. Yes, but also less so now than ever before. I came back from FBFX from doing the Wolverine suit video and immediately opened up Etsy in my hotel room in London and found someone who was screen printing the Wolverine little 3-bit checker pattern on what looked like the correct yellow and selling it by the yard. The fact is that rapid manufacturing processes like 3D printing, but also things like screen printing and the great development of rubbers that adhere to fabrics and screen printed stuff like that means that now more than ever, those technologies are trickling down into the fandom very quickly, such that it would be very reasonable to use that fabric and make your own incredibly accurate Wolverine costume. That being said, I'm having the biggest trouble finding a brocade. I want to do one of the Bene Gesserit from Dune. I want to make myself a Bene Gesserit from Dune. Someday we'll get to this. But my biggest issue right now is I'm having trouble finding the right brocade. Hold on. Brocade is a term for elaborate pattern upholstery. And this is a floral one that's got a sort of plant-based theme. And this is much more like a sort of, you know, fancy chair kind of fabric. And this is close, but still it's not quite what Charlotte Rampling was wearing in Dune. And I've had real trouble finding something that sort of satisfies the mood of that at the same time as being something that I can work with. If you've come across one, please put it in the comments. I would love to know about it. But you weren't asking about the difficulty of just finding a fabric that is mood correct or something like that. You were talking about really specific stuff. Yeah, it has never, ever, ever been a better time to be a home manufacturer of stuff that you admire, because in this, I started off talking about how the media landscape used to be quite homogenized with a small number of networks delivering all the content, and now it is the opposite. It is a massive number of networks delivering a literal fire hose of content. But what that means is that content about content is a lot of what we imbibe. The stuff we go and cover at FBFX, the artisans and the craftspeople that make those beautiful things for film, they love talking about how those processes work, and they're really accessible. So yeah, it's a great moment to be alive and be a maker of things. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wanted to briefly mention that you could become a tested member. I know, everybody is competing for you to become a member of their thing. What I want to express to you is that the Tested membership has become such an important part of the Tested family. We get tremendous feedback from the Tested members, and they expand the stories that we can tell and the things that we have access to. And you can become a part of it right now by clicking on the link below. See you in the chat.